Hey there guys, it's Jesse, and today we take on Shannox, one of the first bosses in the Firelands in World of Warcraft Cataclysm. Shannox is a fairly simple early raid boss fight, but one that relies almost entirely on skilled tanks and personal accountability. Like in previous boss guides, we'll break down the boss's abilities, then dig a little deeper and get into some strategy. However, thanks to the new dungeon journal, I no longer need to go into as much detail as I did before, so we can focus much more on the strat and cut out the massive ability breakdowns, which is just fine by me. Now, Shannox is supposed to be some sort of master hunter, and of course, this means he comes with a pet. In fact, two, Rageface and Riplimb. So in order to do this fight, you need to manage the boss and his two adds. So let's break down what each can do. Shannox has four major abilities we need to talk about. The first is Arcing Slash, which does 125% of normal melee damage in a cone in front of him. Anyone in that cone gets a stack of something called Jagged Tear, which is a Ren-style debuff that does 6k every 3 seconds for about 30 seconds, and increases in damage each time it stacks. He'll also use a Hurl Spear ability, where he throws a spear somewhere near his pet Riplimb, and when it lands, it does 120k damage to anyone within 3 yards, and then 50k fire damage in a pattern around the impact. This will then erupt, doing another 80k if you're standing in that fire. Riplimb will then stop attacking, grab the spear, and then go and return it to its master. And of course, since he's a hunter, he drops two types of traps as well. Immolation Trap, which looks like your basic fire trap that detonates when either you, the player, or one of Shannox's pets walks over it, doing 75,000 fire damage, and then 20k every 3 seconds after that, increasing damage taken by 40% for 9 seconds total. Or he could use Crystal Prison Trap, which encases you or one of his pets in a red crystal that on 25-man had roughly 2.8 million health. Meanwhile, while dealing with all of Shannox's abilities, you also have to contend with his two pets. Rageface, as his name would imply, is completely uncontrollable and just runs around attacking players at random. You need to heal through this and hope it goes smoothly. He does have an ability called Face Rage that causes him to maul a player for 8k damage every half a second, but this makes him more susceptible to critical strikes. In order to stop the Face Rage, someone needs to do a single attack that does 45k damage in 25-man or 30k in 10-man. Riplimb, on the other hand, can be tanked just like the boss and spends most of his time on the off-tank or just running around collecting Shannox's spear after he throws it. The biggest issue here is he too has the Jagged Tear ability, so eventually, just like your main tank, the off-tank will need to get rid of this debuff, or else it's gonna be a long night. Oh, and I almost forgot. None of them are tauntable. So, with that all said, let's talk strategy. Remember way back at the beginning when I said this fight was about skilled tanks and personal accountability? Well, let's focus on that skilled tank part first. When you first enter the raid, Shannox will be completely MIA, but as you kill more and more trash, you'll start getting messages that he's approaching. Once he arrives, he'll path around the map along this green line. Our strategy involved clearing the bottom left of the map and giving ourselves enough room to pull off this sort of tanking maneuver we thought of. When you pull the boss, the main tank will take Shannox to the left side of our engagement zone, moving him around in a small circle like so. You also have to keep him faced away from the raid so his cleave Arcing Slash doesn't hit anyone besides the tank. Now, when Shannox throws his spear, he can no longer use Arcing Slash, so the main tank needs to move him as far away from the spear's impact as possible, so that Riplimb has even further to run back. This is going to ensure that your stacks of Jagged Tear will wear off every time. Meanwhile, the off-tank, who takes Riplimb to the right side of the engagement area, watches for the spear impact as well. When that happens, the dog will stop attacking you, and you need to run as far from the boss as you can, so that the dog will take even longer to return to you, ensuring that your stacks of Jagged Tear drop as well. A good strategy here is to line up a crystal trap between you and the dog, so that he'll run over it and get stuck for a good 4 or 5 seconds, giving you more than enough time to lose that stack. However, with all of that said, both tanks need to be aware of an unlisted ability not found in the dungeon journal called Separation Anxiety. If you pull either one of the dogs or the boss far enough away from the others, Shannox gets a 100% increased attack speed buff, which means you can run far, but not too far, or it's just going to end badly for everyone. And finally, we come to the personal accountability part of this fight. As I mentioned earlier, Shannox will drop a trap under a random player during the course of the battle. You must pay attention to this. If you don't, you'll end up trapped in a crystal or on fire, and either way diverting damage or healing from where it needs to be. Also, these traps need to be used against the dogs, so having them go off on you is doubly bad. You just need to do whatever it takes for you to be aware of your surroundings, because the traps are fairly large, and they give you 2 seconds before they activate. And in the end, if you miss it, it's most likely because you had your blinders on and you were too busy focusing on DPS or healing. And really, you're going to have no one to blame but yourself. So, imagine for a moment you get caught in a crystal trap in 25 man. You are now out of the battle and diverting 2.8 million damage to you that could have been done on the boss or to the dogs. And if you get hit with the immolation trap, that's healing that could have been done on the tanks. So either you're going to wipe the raid now, or possibly later when you wipe to the enraged timer because people were too busy DPSing the crystals and not the boss. Other than that, the only other accountability you have as a raider is to watch out for that hurl spear and his explosion afterwards, which is ridiculously easy to avoid, and after that you'll be home free to phase 2. Now, up until this point, without a doubt, the key to this fight has been focusing on your surroundings. But, like every major Cata raid boss so far, how you transition from phase 1 to phase 2 plays a major role in the battle. When Shannox drops to 30%, his pets will gain a Frenzied Devotion, which increases their damage by 400%, their attack speed by 200%, and their movement by 100%. But, if you kill his pets first, each one will give him an additional 15% damage and attack speed, totaling in 30% for both. So, what you have to do is stop attacking the boss at 35% and focus all your damage on the 2 dogs. Try your hardest to kill them at roughly the same time so the tank on Shannox won't have to draw more healers in order to keep alive. Now, you'll want to focus on the dog's kill order as well. Due to Riplim's role in collecting the spear, if you kill him first, Shannox will gain a Magma Rupture skill that does 50k damage to the entire raid and increases all the fire damage for 1 minute. So to keep this ability safe in your dungeon journal and out of your boss encounter for the majority of the fight, you want to kill Rageface first. But, like I said, try your hardest to down both of them at roughly the same time. Once the pets are dead, he frenzies, and the last 30% or so is a DPS race. But you still gotta watch out for those traps and fire eruptions. If you can get past all of that, then you have yourself a fairly easy Firelands victory. And as always, proof that if I can do it, so can you. Here is our very first Shannox kill. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up, subscribe, all that. And as always, to be continued.